What's going on, everybody? I'm Josh Meek, the Uber Geek. Thank you very much for joining me here on Pretty Dece, your daily entertainment and pop culture podcast. You can check Pretty Dece out on the Anchor app, where you can call in and be a part of the show. You can also listen in podcast form in your favorite podcast app, and you can also watch on video in YouTube. You can search YouTube for Pretty Dece to find these episodes. So I want to talk today about Super Mario Odyssey, which is a game that I just finished the main story of. So it's been out here for a few weeks now, but since I did finish it and I had such a good time with it, I wanted to do a quick little review of this game, because if you have a Switch and you don't have Super Mario Odyssey, it is a game you really, really need to pick up or need to put on your Christmas list or make plans to play in some way or another, because this game is fantastic. You know, historically, the 3D Mario games have been fun, but haven't really been my favorite games of all time. They haven't really gotten their hooks into me. You know, I can appreciate why people like, for example, Super Mario 64, but, you know, it's never really been my cup of tea. I've never really, desperately needed to find every single item, every single star in the game and completely wring it of content. I've been more of a 2D Mario guy. You know, I'm definitely like a hardcore Mario fan from Super Mario's 1, 2, and 3. But, you know, when we got into 3D, it wasn't really quite my thing. This game, however, is different. It definitely has its hooks in me. I was thinking about the game when I wasn't playing, which I think is a good hallmark of a game that is really, really doing a number on you. It's really, really, you know, in your mind if you're just like constantly thinking about it. And, you know, I think it's different than a lot of other Mario 3D games. I think structurally it's different than a lot of games, in fact. It takes inspiration from open world games, but somehow ends up being very different than all of them. It has levels in each world that you get to that kind of take you through what's essentially the main story. But these are all kind of part of a larger task of collecting these moons, which are the items needed to progress to the next world, the items needed to kind of move you along in the story. But these main kind of levels the game wants you to go through can be bypassed somewhat because there are other moons in the world. So if you want to go find all the other moons that you can and just kind of skip the little main path the game wants you to go along, you can easily do that, and the game will happily let you. I like in that way that the game mixes up the challenges. You know, there are moons that are like on that main path that come from you beating a boss that the game kind of walked you right into. There are some moons that you can find that are just hidden. Maybe they were behind something. Maybe you had to like butt stomp something to have a moon pop out. Maybe you had to go play a slot machine. Maybe you had to jump rope and a moon happened. You know, I like that you can kind of mix all those things up. I like some of them are, you know, platforming sections. Some come from 2D Mario sections. Some you can just buy in a shop. There are tons of ways to achieve the goals of this game, and you can kind of, you know, tailor it to what works best for you. You don't have to worry about being a completionist on your first way through the game. Just grab the moons you see until you have enough, and then you get to move right on. It becomes a very kind of stress-free way to play the game. And, you know, it makes it so you don't get frustrated. It makes it so you don't hate the game while you are playing through it and seeing the content, which I greatly, greatly appreciate. Also, this game is just downright adorable, way more than previous Mario games. And Mario games have always, you know, come out swinging in the adorable category. But this game does the amazing, just beautiful thing of adding this, you know, giant collection of outfits and hats. You know, I would get to a new world in the game and I'd want to go pick out an appropriate outfit to wear while I ran around the that world. That's how much I cared about the clothing options in the game. That's really cool. And one of the most exciting things when you get to a new world in this game, I'd want to go check out what the new hat and outfit options were that I could buy there. And every world has specific clothing that you can buy just in that world, just with coins you find in that world. So, you're incentivized to kind of jump around and find these special coins and run back to the shop and buy these outfits. And that was the most exciting part about each of the worlds, was finally getting a chance to put on that world's outfit and run around and be on theme. Really, really cool. And that never got old throughout the entire game. So that was really fun to be able to do. Also, in the adorable category, the conceit of throwing your hat to take over the creatures in the world is a really, really bizarre one, but is incredibly fun and incredibly adorable every time you do it. It is a wonderful, beautiful touch that you give those creatures your hat and your mustache. Whoever came up with that needs a raise, needs to be promoted, because I after hours and hours and hours of this game, I continued to laugh and giggle at the fact that my mustache was showing up on these frogs and these lava balls and these dinosaurs. It's never not funny, no matter how many times you see it. It's also really awesome that all of those creatures that you take over in the game have different mechanics. They all control differently. They all have different jump heights. They all have different abilities. Like you might one time be jumping around floating through lava. Next, you might be throwing hammers. Next, you might be levitating on a giant plume of water. Next, you might be flying. Like you can do so many different things in this game by taking over these creatures. And it's super quick, it's in and out, and they kind of then become the light puzzle solving that the game wants you to do, which is, I think, a really smart way to handle kind of working through all of these worlds. I really, really love the entire hat capture mechanic in the game. It is a joy, it's a treat the entire way through. And, speaking of that puzzle solving, I really like that Mario Odyssey here manages to strike a good difficulty balance throughout the game. It's never frustrating, but it also never feels too easy. It doesn't feel like I'm just going through the motions. There were parts of the game I had to retry. There were parts that I died. There were parts that I had to kind of stand there and think, okay, so how do I get to that moon? How do I make it up to that platform? Like, how do I need to use these creatures to achieve this goal? It never felt like I was banging my head against it, but I felt very accomplished when I got things done. And, that's something that you can really take for granted in a game. The absence of obstructions is sometimes a hard thing to notice, but it really shows kind of the masterful design of the game, that is how you're able to go through it. And of course, this game, I said it was adorable. It's also very, very charming. All of the characters in the game are wonderfully well written and cute. Cappy is a really great new character, which is your animated hat who talks to you in the game. I love when you travel to a new world. He sits down in an armchair with you and reads to you from the manual of all the things that you can do. That's a weird, silly thing that happens. I like that a lot. Even Bowser is great. I like his character in this. I like the things that are going on. All the characters are really, really fantastic. And of course, all the 2D platforming sections are very referential and very fun. Things pop back up in those that if you are a big fan of the 2D Mario games, you can remember those things. And it's really great to see the 2D Mario wear all the costumes that you are wearing in the 3D version. Again, that's something that never got old. Popping into a 2D section and seeing like, oh my gosh, he's wearing the samurai outfit that I had on, or whatever outfit it might be. That was never not fun. So, I'm just now getting into the end game, the post main story game for Super Mario Odyssey, and that continues to be very well done and very well put together. The difficulty ups a little bit, but again, it hasn't been super frustrating so far. they throw a whole bunch of more moons into the world, but they also give you a map that kind of lets you zero in on their positions. And thus far, that's been really fun to kind of figure out, okay, there's a moon in this general vicinity. Where's it at? Can I kind of poke around, look at my surroundings, figure out what I need to do to make it appear, or what I need to climb to go find it? That has been not a hard thing, but also not an easy thing, and I've really enjoyed kind of working through that. So I really, honestly, in this game, see myself collecting all of these moons, see myself buying all of the outfits, and see myself wringing this game of content, which, as I said, is not something that I have done with previous 3D Mario games. So I cannot recommend Super Mario Odyssey highly enough. It is most definitely pretty decent. So that's going to do it for Pretty Dece for today. Thank you very much for joining me. Make sure that you like Pretty Dece on Facebook, facebook.com/PrettyDeceShow. Follow me on Twitter @PrettyDeceShow, and also visit PrettyDeceShow.com. I'll be back tomorrow, as always, for a brand new episode. Until then, make sure you hit that subscribe button on whatever platform you are listening on so you never miss a daily episode.